Are you struggling to find decent storage for your Christmas tree? Original cardboard box not cutting it anymore? Is it beginning to look like a package delivered by the Postal Service? This was the exact same problem I was having after purchasing a massive 12-foot Christmas tree. Yes, I know, not everyone needs to compensate for something by purchasing a 12-foot Christmas tree. Well, here I am. On my quest to find the best method to store my 12-foot glorious and green rocket ship, I stumbled on the strange market of Christmas tree storage bags. Upon researching, I found these rectangular, fun-colored body bags to be overpriced and of cheap quality. At an initial glance, all appeared to have great reviews. However, on closer inspection, the truth about these bags came to light. Get it? Came to light? Well, that was sort of a joke alluding to how these look like body bags. Well, anyways, prices vary from $15 all the way up to $200. Most are made out of a tarp-like material with weak zippers. I was intrigued at the ones that appeared to have an inside structure which you would think would be more stable. Wrong. The pricier versions even had the wheels. Digging into the reviews showed regardless of brand, all were flimsy, most had zipper issues, and if they were with the optioned wheels, the sheer weight of the tree components would buckle the wheels, causing them to no longer freely spin. This was a huge issue since, again, my tree is a massive 12-foot tall tree, which is also heavier than, well, never mind. After ditching the idea of stuffing my thick and bushy fig piece of wood into a floppy sock that could burst at any moment, I came up with the idea of finding a sturdy plastic container that would also have the wheels. Problem being, any container that had the criteria was also not even big enough. Maybe for the neighbor's Charlie Brown Christmas tree, but certainly not for mine. At this point in time, I said, and decided to make my own. Will this be the most cost-effective way? No. Will this look the prettiest? Definitely not. This Frankenstein piece of trash I'm about to show you how to build will certainly not be the most elegant. However, it's not super difficult to make. It will house the largest of trees and will be way sturdier than any of the tree storage bags on the market currently. I would like to formally introduce you to the Tree Gobbler 5000 and how to make it. Here are the two totes I picked up from Home Depot. Part number right there, 45-gallon, pretty sturdy plastic totes. They have locking ends on each side. They're stackable. And they appear to be pretty durable. Favorite part, the durable wheels. Now, one thing I don't like about these are the holes. So I imagine you could probably run something through here to tie this down. And then some of these holes kind of lock it in place. But that pretty much just means this thing is not going to be entirely waterproof. And then on this one, I actually noticed there's like a burn hole through here. So that's kind of frustrating with how much I spent on these, but I mean, realistically, I'm cutting these up anyways. But as far as other stuff that I got to combine these totes together, whole thing of washers. Definitely don't need a pack of 100 of them, but it's something that I find useful to just have in the garage. 1/4x20 screws, locking nylon nuts, 1/2 inch long, and honestly, probably be better to go with 3/4 inch with running these washers, but that's what I had already. I did pick up these same 1/4x20, but these are 1 inch long. I'm going to use the longer ones on the bottom, so I'll probably use 8 of those on the bottom. So the idea is to human centipede these together. This one, I'm cutting as far forward as physically possible. So I have a cut line going all the way down and around, back up. Now this one, this is going to be the front tote. So this one is retaining the handle. This one retaining the wheels. So this one that's going to be up front, I don't need the wheels. I have a cut line going through here, all the way around down, back up. So this section with the wheels, that's going to be gone. This section is going to slip inside this section. Tools I'll be using for the job, this multi-oscillating tool, super handy, multiple styles of blades. This one, it's about inch and a half wide, and it should be able to get into different awkward angles. Secondly, I'm using my angle grinder here with, I believe it's like a 4.5 inch blade. And yes, I understand that it's rather dangerous without the guard, but I'll have thick gloves and face protection, so that should be good to go. So let's go ahead and cut up these brand new Husky totes. complex part is the fact that we have to get the oscillating tool in here to cut all of these little supports out. That way this top channel piece right here slides over top of this one, and it can be as flush as possible. So we'll have to make a couple tricky cuts to get these out on each side. The ones that I needed to. Now this should be able to slide over this piece right here. So already, just with it held in with pressure, actually locks in there pretty good with these ridges and then these going over top the other existing channels. So now we are at the stage where we will drill some holes and we'll fasten this thing together. And then once this section is done, we'll jump over to the lid. I did make a small relief cut, about 4 or 5 inches right here. Just cut that little rectangle out, did that on each side. Now it should slide right into place. So I plan to do probably 5 or 6 screws, 2 here, 2 here, 1 here, because on the inside, this is where I cut, that's where the original wheel was. So if I drill into here and put a 6th screw, it'd be more or less decoration, just because there's nothing on the inside for it to catch. But at a minimum, 5 screws here, 5 screws on the other side. I will do 1 screw right here, probably without a washer, just so it's less interference when it comes time to get the lid to work. And of course, another 6 screws on the bottom. Done. Now onto the other. Screws are all attached. I did the 1-inch screws at the very bottom just because you're dealing with a little more thickness, and then I'm going to use the same grinder that I used to cut the plastic with to cut these ends off. I'll probably use a flap wheel to clean those up. Here's that other side. Looks kind of ridiculous, but it's definitely very sturdy. Now we're on to the lid. Tucked it out. Basically, we're going to cut right here, and all of this is going to go away. So here's my line, and then I'm going to trim a slight section here that will kind of be a relief cut. The one going on the bottom, so I'm just lobbing this section off. No relief cuts, nothing, just one clean cut. Put some screws right here and here, and actually I'm going to put another one right here to hold this end in place. I have nuts on the back side. Well, this is not going to sit perfectly flush with this, so I ended up taking a really large, probably a 1/2-inch drill bit, made some clearance holes. So I'm thinking now this should sit flush. Yep, looks pretty good. So I'll do the same thing 2 more times, one right here and on the opposite side. Here's the finalized product of the Tree Gobbler 5000. I spent a little extra time and I sprayed the bolts and washers with some paint, did red to sort of match the lid, and then I did a matte black on the sides. Obviously, still somewhat noticeable, but it's a little less noticeable than the stainless steel look to it. But this is going to work out perfectly for my massive tree. Now, popping this open, here's the underside of the lid there, and then inside of the tote. If you're wondering why I didn't add any glue or resin in between where these two totes meet up or overlap, well, there's a couple factors involved with that. One, how this is cut and set in here. It actually holds it in place really well even before the bolts. Then you add in all these different bolts and the washers distributing the weight out. I think that's going to hold perfectly. And the final reason is simply because this is a polypropylene tote, and a lot of the resins on the market don't hold up or don't stick to this kind of thing. I think it's going to be perfectly fine without it. I imagine if you really wanted to do some deep digging and deep research, you can find something on Amazon that would work, but quite honestly, it's not required or necessary. Now, this is what Husky states. Sorry, I kind of mutilated the label a little bit, but in actuality, we're talking 62 inches, 16.5, and 18.5 bottom to top there. So real world, it almost fits, I would say, a 9-foot Christmas tree. You may need to do 2 of these like I did here. Now, I do plan to store some ornaments, garland, and maybe some wreaths. So I ended up making 2 of them. I actually have a total of 5 of these sections. They're 55 inches in length each, minus this top section. So 4 55-inch sections, 2 in here. 2 will go on there. Have the base, the extra top, garland, ornaments, so on and so forth. So 2 of these completed for, we'll say, around $110, $115, something that is nearly going to last pretty much the life of the tree, I think is a total win. Realistically, you spend $20 to $40 on a bag each year, and again, if you have a massive tree like a 9 to 12 or even 15, you're going to need multiple bags. So if you're constantly breaking those every year, every other year, you're clearly going to overcome this $110, $115 cost to build these 2 identical totes. So hopefully this video helped you out. If it did, hopefully it was a fun way to show how to make this Tree Gobbler 5000. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. Definitely consider subscribing because I'm going to have more builds like this coming up on the channel. That being said, I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you friends next time.